Hello, everybody. Today, we're delighted to be joined by Matina Keramida. Matina, how are you?
Very well, thank you. In Amsterdam, it's not very sunny. I have to say, spring has not sprung yet, but very confident that it's arriving very soon.
We're kind of half in, half out when it comes to spring, I would say. Some days it treats us like it's arrived. Other days we get this very thick fog that seems to sit over the whole town. So it's not quite happened yet. And Sarah's laughing at us there in sunny Barcelona. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, really good. I gotta say, the weather is actually lovely today. It finally stopped raining, so I recognize my city again for once. Martina, I don't know if you've heard, but Barcelona has had the worst winter ever. It has been raining for 3 months straight, and I am sick of it.
You get a longer time of sunshine than us, so I don't. I think you're good with a little bit of winter. You'll turn this around very soon.
I was about to move.
No sympathy from Brighton or Amsterdam, Sarah.
No, I'll just put myself back in my box. It's fine.
Yeah. Now, Martina, it's so nice to have you here today. And regular listeners of the show will know that we're not normally joined by Martina. So, Martina, you're here today as part of our build up to the Short Stay Summit, which is happening in London on April 22nd. Martina, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Booking.com.
Yes, my pleasure. I work at Booking.com for the past 7.5 years, most of this time in vacation rentals. I currently lead our product marketing function for vacation rentals and families. And I'm really looking forward to being in London, first of all, because I'm excited to meet the hosts and the entire community. And secondly, London has been my home in the past, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it again in total spring.
Awesome. And Martina, this is a perfect time for you to be joining us. Booking.com just released earnings, and so there was a lot of exciting stuff in there. I'm curious from your perspective, what are some of the significant changes that are maybe happening, upcoming in the short-term rental segment or alternative accommodation segment for Booking.com that has you riled up?
I'll start with what is not changing, actually, and this is the growth that we've seen in vacation rentals, which is awesome news. So as we close now 2025, our vacation rental mix was 36% for the full year of our room nights, which is 1% on a percentage point up. That means that it's already stably more than a third of our business, which we're very excited about. And actually, for a few quarters in a row, vacation rentals have outpaced other accommodation types on our platform, and we're very excited about that, and keep seeing that momentum quarter after quarter. So that's quite stable, a good change of 1%, but quite stable. We also grew our listings. So now we're above 8 million. And it's really exciting times for the choice that we're providing our travelers and how all this will come together in our connected trip vision.
Fantastic. Yeah. And very, very interesting. I've always found that fascinating. Your gallop into short-term rentals, as I would describe it over the last couple of years. So good to see that continues. And then from the Booking.com side, what's new this year with you? What areas of focus and growth have you been working on?
Again, I'll answer about what's stable and then how it's evolving and growing. So, like I said, I've been in this segment for a few years now, and one of the things that I'm very proud of is the fact that we have rigor and stability in some of our main commitments. So, while the product roadmap is evolving and we're always listening to hosts and putting priorities at the forefront of our attention, there are three things that remain stable over time. There are three promises that we keep repeating in our events, and we want to show that rigor and commitment year after year. So we want our platform to keep giving hosts access to new demand, and especially underscore the types of demand that are growing faster and make sure that our product evolves in a manner that helps hosts capture that demand. We want to give them control and reassurance in the way they welcome guests. We know that vacation rental hosts have some extra needs of control and how they welcome guests, which guests they welcome, etc. So this is at the center of our attention. And last, we want to make their operations easier because we know how significant the operational sink can become for a host. So as soon as this really devours their time, they basically lose time from the thing that made them become a host, which is having happy guests. So these are the three pillars of our development at the moment, and this is what we are behind year after year. The solution space evolves over time, of course, but these are remaining constant. I can give a few examples if you like of what's in the works at the moment and how we're continuing the commitments that we already made.
Yeah, please do. Let's hear 'em.
Yeah. Let me start with demand, actually. So we've been paying extra attention to families because it's an audience that grows outside of us, not just on us. So it grows overall. There's more family travel out there for us to capture, but they're not serviced okay. So if you look at, who has the toughest travel plan ever, that's a family. They have so many people to take care of, so many different needs. And also, what you did last year doesn't apply in a new year as you planned, right? So if we all need to pay our respects to the Herculean family planner who takes that task every trip, be it a school holiday or a summer trip. But we've done a lot of studies to understand, what is particular, why are they not serviced okay? Because we do know that some of their needs are not met. So it's easier said than done to do that plan. And let me give you a couple of examples that then will speak to also what hosts can do. Imagine they have to take care of choosing a location that's close to, I don't know what, attractions, hospitals, airports, ease of getting from point A to point B, space for everyone, indoor and outdoor space, enough beds, enough bedrooms, cots, you name it. So that becomes a very complex planning process. And I think this is where, some of the amazing benefits that hosts have can get lost. And we need to kind of do that perfect matchmaking effectively. But the good news is that there is a perfect Venn diagram and intersection between the needs of families and vacation rentals. So we have a lot of growth potential to capture there, and we have a long roadmap around that. We want to hyper optimize for that segment and want to host to capture that to the best of their ability. So one of the recent things we've done is we just started from some basic things. We know that on our platform, there are some family combinations where if an infant gets added or a 2-year-old gets added, somehow the search results really change, and that shouldn't be the case. In some cases, we have much more choice to offer, and it's a matter of just fundamental setup that hosts may have forgotten, may not have paid attention to. But it's also hard to explain. So we are putting a lot of efforts to make it just easy for them to understand which family compositions are falling out for them at the moment. And that shouldn't be the case. So we want to give them that level of fundamental tooling so they just reset themselves and be seen by more demand and more searches. That's just a simple example. Another example that I'm very excited about is one need that has been very burning by hosts over the years, which is the fact that we've had instant book as our main model. This is the best converting model. We know that over the years, we know guests prefer it. We know most supply prefers it as well, but we also know that some property managers really don't want it, not for their entire portfolio, sometimes for parts of it, just some property types that they need to have a little more control over. We debated that for years, and as some of our audience may know or not know, we actually provided request to book, which is a new thing for us. So we opened it up to the new supply on our platform, and we keep optimizing it. So most recently, we allowed pre-book messaging that enables the guest and the host to communicate so they can actually feel okay about the stay, both sides. What we're doing this year is we're evolving it further to bring it closer to the industry standards that a lot of hosts are used to, which means that we will hold the inventory, pre-authorize the payment. So when a request comes through, the host just hits approve and it's done. I know this is also coupled by insights that they want. So we're at the moment experimenting with expanding our guest profile and history with some ID verification. We started small in a couple of markets, and we're looking to see how by experimenting on that we can make it broader, because we know it's a very big need that hosts have. So these things speak to like two of the pillars that I mentioned earlier: how to capture demand, how to do that in a careful manner that fits the business model of hosts. These are at the very center of our attention at the moment.
This is very interesting. Thank you for sharing. Sarah, I feel like we're getting an inside scoop here. Matina, can we try and speak to you all the time? This is great. I love hearing this stuff. I was recently trying to book a trip I've been attempting to book a trip to Disneyland Paris. And I can tell you now, not that that's necessarily my dream holiday, but there we go. This idea that it's how long can your kids bear to be in the car? Like, are you then near enough to Paris? Is there a front garden? Because sometimes it's easier just to throw the kids in the garden and go out. All those considerations. I love that reference to the family trip planning, because I think that there's so much that a company like Booking could do there. And what I would just say is I've been enjoying recently some ads that have been round, I've seen on social media, which is presenting different lodging types side by side. Because I think sometimes as an industry, we can forget, or I'll only speak for myself, Sarah, you can disagree with this, but I think I can forget that what we're really talking about is a guest who's trying to book a trip. And it might be that on the way to Disneyland, we want to stay in a hotel for the night. And on the way back, we want to stay in a hotel, but we want to stay in a vacation rental when we're there. And I think there's the idea that you can showcase those things side by side and offer them based on who's staying, I think is really powerful. I've definitely noticed that happening more recently at Booking, is showing the two lodging types, well, more than two, right? Yeah, and different things like that, like all in the same ad reel, because I think, you shouldn't just segment by thinking what the accommodation type is. The guest is going to be interested in all of them, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think I have some interesting facts about that. So we did ask families, what did you book last year? It was a mix, and that's a Venn diagram. Like I said before, even on the same trip, like you said, it's a long trip. You may have pit stops in the middle. I'm actually planning to go to Greece by car at some point this summer. I'm curious what I will do in between pit stops. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, even on the same trip, there may be different legs, but also the same family has, based on our research, has 4 different trip types off the top of my head. There's the actual educational trip where the accommodation is mostly there for them to just spend the night and they don't need to spend time indoors. They will go outside in the city and learn something new. There's the reconnect type, which means that they intend to stay together in the accommodation and spend time as a family. There's the full relaxed trip, which means that it's a holiday for everyone, which means that parents also count because they don't always count in all holidays. But that means that, yeah, the same family might choose a vacation rental, a resort. That varies depending on the trip type and the age group of the kids and the mix. Like, it's not actually good to be there where the choice happens, and the same customer might just have a different priority every time. But I'm also very excited about this intent-based, search that we're also evolving further with through Gen AI and through personalization. But you're spot on that. There's some beauty in just being there where, the choice gets curated and the same person wears different hats, during a year.
I think this is what's so powerful about Booking.com in general is you do have all of the inventory. And also, I know you guys are super good at, you're always running testing. You're always figuring out what the user wants, what's working for hosts. Well, I'm curious, you already sort of mentioned it, but tell us a little bit more about Gen AI, what Booking.com is doing there and what you are most excited about of how this is going to change the overall booking experience.
Yeah, let me start by saying that AI is not new to us. Unlike what many people think, it's been at the, in the fundamentals of our business. AI and machine learning have been the pinnacle of our personalization. But now, of course, this technology has evolved and it's, much faster. So we have a lot more option. And I also feel that it's also a more conscious choice by the user who's actively using it rather than AI being, at the back scenes doing some, big data job. So this is let's say like the perfect constellation of things. We do see more and more active usage of AI. We see that through research. We also see that on our platform. So we're very excited about the potential. Now, let me talk about how we look at it. There's, let's say, 3 aspects. I want to start from the user like you also did. It amplifies personalization to like a huge extent, right? So like I said, personalization was there before. We knew a lot about the user. We knew a lot about how to curate choice, and we already did it for decades. But I guess now it becomes, let's say, an underpinning function that permeates everything from the search itself to how, to the trip management later on. So I'm going to speak about search for a second. I think we're all looking for the era where filters are likely gone and we stop like ticking 50 different boxes to curate the choice that we want, right? I think this is going to go away. It's already like moving away, and more of our customers are using a conversation, which is like I think that's the real vision of what we as OTAs should kind of like go for. So moving away from the customer having to do a lot of narrowing down to transforming ourselves into what their old travel agent would be. And that combines a couple of things. Your travel agent knew a lot about you and your preferences, and they also heard you out to understand what you want every time. That's the point, right? So like we said earlier, the same family might have different needs for a different trip, so we know a lot about them, who they are, how many they are, what they usually prioritize, but we also want to ask them in the moment, what's your priority now? And then help them, find their options. I think this is super powerful. And now we're really talking about moving to the online travel agent era. So really excited about that. And I think I want to translate that into the host benefit for a second. One of the challenges that hosts have had, and I understand where they're coming from, is there are so many pages. There's the property page, the search box, a lot of scrolls for a lot of property content and uniqueness to be hidden in, right? What AI does right now is that not only does it personalize, but it also summarizes, synthesizes information that sits in many different places, from the property description to photography to reviews that people left to Q&A that the host has answered. I don't think we've had that level of personalization and synthetic view ever. I think to me that's let's say like the biggest benefit of all, because then the hosts are not going to have to worry about, oh, this information is just hidden in my facilities at the moment. It will be surfaced at the top for the person who has that as their priority, and that's super powerful, because then we can curate their benefits more effectively. So I'm very excited about that, and I think that really changes everything that we've been used to. Now, I think what people may not know is that a lot of these things are now in many of our verticals, which means that they're in the flights part of our business, also more and more into attractions and trip planning overall. And I think there's also something key about just like the normal trip behavior, the helpfulness and usability of AI is not just at the moment of search, right? No one, like I assume, no one plans their trip in one go and fixates everything in a square and then they're done. That's not real. So we plan some hard-coded things about our trip, like let's say dates. Hopefully they don't change if kids get sick or whatever. But let's say we have some hard-coded factors that come into search early on and they become very definitive. Then there are other things that get thrown into the mix later on, like, oh, let's do that pit stop, as you mentioned earlier, Leo, or let's add that attraction. Oh, let's plan that day otherwise. Like the trip is just a very alive thing as it approaches and as it happens. And also changes happen, right? So AI has to be the underlying factor, and it is for us more and more, that permeates the entire experience, from the personalization aspect that we spoke about to making the trip the dream that it started as, right? And actually like managing the unknowns and the things that just weren't, predicted. For us, that's, let's say, the most important aspect right now. There's the host, experience too, though. So we're very focused on personalization, but hosts also are humans and they need their own help. So what we've seen most recently is that when we embedded AI into the way they respond to guests, and that really affects their experience and the speed of response, it also becomes very personalized for the guest, which means that the response feels more natural. So instead of giving very cookie cutter, let's say, auto replies like we did in the past, now AI sits in our messaging functionality as an extra help function, and it pulls data from what we know about the reservation, what we know about the location, what we know about the property, what we know about that guest, and populates a response that is unique to every guest. It doesn't send it, of course. The host is always in control and they can hit, yes, I like that, send it. But that's like the next level of automation that we used to have, which becomes very personal to every guest, helping the host, manage guest experience.
I love that. It kind of goes back to this, like the 10-80-10. You and I had a guest on a few months ago, Charles, and he was talking about this concept of how AI is super powerful, right? So it's that 10% of you giving the input and putting some work in up front of what the parameters are. 80% is done by the AI, and then always there's sort of that last human check before something is sent. I'm curious, from the point of view of an operator or a property manager or even an individual host, Matina, what are some of the things that they can start doing, whether that's with their listings or in their workflows, to start preparing to really harness the full power of all of the AI changes that are coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, and I guess I like that question, because I guess I'm going to speak for my own self. My feed is full of AI, innovation and news, etc., I have developed like an absolute FOMO about what I don't know and what I don't use. So first of all, it's a matter of just digging their hands into it, right, to kind of see how it works out. One important aspect would be AI is going to be only as good as the content that we feed it with, right? So of course, it has a lot more power to harness content from external sources and logical thinking, etc., but also that we should try to affect it as much as possible with the content that we can provide. So as a host, I would say at the moment, the quality of content becomes the fundamentals of how they show up, right? So this is pretty key for them to just harness the power of AI. And I'd say one other aspect is try it out, as simple as that, right? Like a lot of us are thinking, I don't know this, I don't know that, I haven't tried it, I haven't embedded it. Like sometimes it's just a matter of just getting your hands dirty with like some of these tools. A lot of the connectivity software providers are also automating a lot of things and a lot of functionalities, which I would hope that the hosts are aware of and just make it part of their day without like being afraid of the technology. I think that's the key. I wanna say like something that I heard from our own engineering VP recently, as even some of our employees were asking for more training, and we're doing that very actively, by the way. So AI for us also as employees is part of our main crafts and expectations to use it daily. And it's becoming a very big source of productivity and insight. But the response that she gave was quite effective, as in, yes, we're going to do as much training as it takes, and we are actively doing that. But the most important thing is start. As simple as that. Start. Get started now. So that's the advice I would give, and like pay attention to the content that you can feed it with.
I like that. I'm going to take you back to something you said about the guest side of AI. I really, really liked it. So when I was younger, I'm going to probably slightly reveal my age here by saying this. When I was younger, the first time I went on holiday with my friends, we went to a travel agent to book the holiday. Sarah's laughing at me. Thank you, Sarah. And we were young, we didn't really know much about much. And the travel agent acted as that expert for us. And Matina, what I love is that you're talking about how AI is the opportunity to bring that like expert back into the booking process. I think that's so cool because clearly you're very passionate about the industry, you're very passionate about travel. So it's almost like by using the, agentic AI in this case, I'm sure you can hand and glove experience to people. And I think that's very, very cool because, as I always like to say, history rarely repeats, but it often rhymes. Something that we lost during the OTA era was that handheld curation to your trip. So I think that's phenomenally exciting. So yeah, I just wanted to take you back there. And I think it's great because I think it allows then the passions of the people who work at booking.com to really come into how you help people travel, right?
Yeah, 100%. Super excited about that. I think we're entering an era where AI can become like the superhuman version of the travel agent. So really excited to foster that together and see where it takes us. And I think, there's a lot of discussion on where the traffic is going to move, where people are going to do search versus planning, etc. The most important thing is to not be afraid of the technology, be part of the solution, be part of the answer, and foster a platform and a curation that travelers are going to be exposed to explore all their choice. That's, I think, where all the magic is going to happen.
I love it. Tell us, we're here to talk about the Short Stay Summit. We're building up to London, 22nd of April, Old Billingsgate. Tell us, why is this such an important event for Booking.com?
So I'm going to maybe say the opposite of what we said earlier, that while we're entering an era of a superhuman being AI agent, nothing beats meeting people. Let me start from that. Like I've been on a roadshow of events over the past few months. I was at VRMA in fall. Then actually last week in our own event in Paris to meet hosts and the industry operators to understand what's on their mind. I'm really excited to continue in London now. And why I say nothing beats, meeting humans is that I think we need some digital detox from time to time, right? So the technology is awesome, but we have to meet face to face, stop our jobs, stop the Zoom calls, stop being on our phones, and just speak and understand what's on our mind and what troubles one another and how we are going to evolve the industry forward together. Nothing beats that. And of course, it's actually meaningful to have a lot of stakeholders in the same place, right? hosts, property managers, we OTAs, technology providers, community and authorities to all come together as one team and serve the purpose of growing the industry and moving it forward. I think it's very exciting. That to me is super powerful.
Yeah, it's one of me and Leo's favorite events for sure. It's one day, it's intense, but it's a really great place to get everybody together and, just as you say, get from behind our screens and do something a little bit different and really have that human connection. So anything else that we haven't talked about today that you think is super important for our listeners to know ahead of the summit, Matina, or have we covered it all?
Yeah, I think maybe a couple of things that have surprised me, because we're doing a lot of research, like I said, is I still hear sometimes hosts, some who work with us, some who don't, telling us that you're a hotels platform and we don't know, what's the value in like working with you, etc. So I feel like it's a moment for, everyone to rethink distribution. It's an interesting time and a turning point into how travelers are going to search. So I think there's a benefit in optimizing for breadth of distribution, and hopefully we're going to give the comfort that they need to kind of understand that the demand that we are providing is multifaceted. As a fun fact, I don't know if people know that, but about a third of the customers that come to our platform with a hotel or an undefined intent, knowing from the keywords that they come through with, the booking a vacation rental. That makes me confident that we're doing a great job helping them prioritize their needs versus the accommodation type. And I'm really excited about that. This says a lot about the job that we have to do as an OTA to curate their choice, but also bring the aspect that you mentioned earlier, Leah, of I'm here to be your neutral travel agent and help you put your needs first. And hopefully through that process, the hosts are going to benefit as well. So that's one surprising fact that we keep hearing about, and hopefully we can dissipate that myth at the Short Stay Summit. And I guess one last thing I want to leave people with is that we do a lot of research in many ways. These events are also a very important source of inspiration for us. Come and find me. Is this the call to action? Come and find me at the booth together with our local team. They're doing an amazing job giving us a lot of the pulse of the market over the year. But I want to hear a lot of things firsthand, and it, like I said, it humbles me a lot. I want to hear firsthand what they're dealing with and what we can do better. So come and find me. I'm going to be there, and they can tell me what's going on and what we can do better.
Well, I'm sure many people are going to come over to the Booking.com booth. I can imagine you'll be really busy as you always are. Thank you so much. It's been this. I found this really wonderfully insightful. I've learned a lot from talking to you. So I can speak for both Sarah and myself when I say we're really looking forward to seeing you on the day in London.
Awesome. I look forward to that too.
And to all of you at home, if you've enjoyed today's show, please hit like, share, subscribe in all the usual places, and we'll see you again next week. Many thanks.